That's really what it is, and I think it did capture all of everyone's. So we are on the same ground. So we'll get started with a few questions. The next one, Raju, it's for you. Was the BITS alumni network instrumental in founding and growing Sierra Atlantic? Could you elaborate?
Yeah. Absolutely. In my case, there's no question about it. Just to give you a little bit of a background on the company. The guy I co-founded the company with, Sarat Sura, he was another BITS classmate of mine. I often say he was a smart guy who decided to stay back in India. I came here in search of something, I'm not sure, and then finally, my professional pursuit again with India. So that's how I got started. I have actually quite a few senior executives also within my organization. With respect to the alumni network and what's happening now, so in my case, there's no ambiguity about that I have been a beneficiary of that. We also have been a practice school for BITS in recent years, and also, of course, a great place to recruit talent. How can you argue about that? But I think now with growing initiatives like what we are doing here in BITSAA SVC, and also there's a new program at BITS called CEL, Center for Entrepreneurship Learning. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it. My sense is you're going to see many more, business leaders in coming years out of the BITSAA community.
Is there a follow-up question on this one? Can I get him?
So Raju, what do you think that BITSAA can do to take this Palani that's been started to the next level? And what role can BITSAA play?
Well, I think that this certainly marks the beginning, in my view, of such initiatives. And with all such ideas, it's a continuity that's going to be so important. And hopefully, those of us who have signed up as mentors can really devote the time necessary to this. Now, there are several other forums too. I certainly encourage people, especially here in Silicon Valley, to look at the Thai and one of the, I think Arabu mentioned Thai earlier. There are other forums also where you can certainly benefit from. But my sense is, with most of these things, it's really up to the aspiring entrepreneur to some extent, how best he or she leverages this sort of opportunity. Make use of this. You've got the contacts, and you've got the mentor list, and go after that. And fortunately, we have several people in the BITSAA community that are also in the venture group these days.
The next question.
Jan, I just wanted to add one comment just to complete the thought on what we talked about earlier on entrepreneurship. And Vivek certainly would know much more about this than I do, coming from the venture community. But when you go to venture capitalists for money, there are really two main criteria that they look at. And that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to pursue this route of entrepreneurship. One is really how big and growing is this market that you're participating in. And second, the management team behind this. Almost everything else becomes secondary to some extent. I know Prem talked about having the right technology, but so what if you can't sell it? And Vivek rightly pointed out how you can adapt as you go along, build your company. Because if you've got the right management team, you might have started with the wrong idea, but as long as the market is large enough and it's a growing one and you've got the right team, everything else is much more likely to fall in place. Just something I wanted to share.
That's so true. I think there's even a terminology called course correcting along the way, which is what Vivek was pointing out. That's wonderful. Next, Puneeta. In your experience, is the business world still a man's world? If so, how did you manage to navigate through those infested waters, especially being a minority?
All right, my token question is here. What I can tell, of course, the women sitting in the audience, one of the best part of being a woman, for me personally, was that I was educated at BITS, really. And when I say that, I mean it, because being a minority isn't bad. I mean, that's what BITS taught me. I was, again, a minority in my class. Did that stop me from doing what I had to do at BITS? Never. There were always more men or boys at that time in the class, fewer girls, but that's okay. I mean, why should being a minority be a weakness? Until I came to Silicon Valley and until I actually jumped into entrepreneurship, when this topic became a big focal point. You are an immigrant, you are a woman, and you know, how hard is it, and life is so, I mean, the press also wants to write a story when you actually want to identify with all the trials and tribulations of being a minority. And to tell you the truth, it really is not, and in many ways, it is a mindset that we got to change ourselves. That it's okay to be a minority, it's okay to be different, but it's not okay to say because I am different or because I'm a minority, I should take a second place or I should become a second-class citizen. I shouldn't. And being born in India, of course, all of us grew up looking at Indira Gandhi as, at least my growing years, she was the leader of the country, and I never saw her as a female. I saw her as a leader. And that, to me, I think ingrained in my head that, you know, you could do whatever you want to do in life. Your gender, your race, where you came from, which school you go to, really doesn't make a huge difference. But it did. And to tell you the truth, BITS is a very unique place. When I look back at the experience I had at BITS, you know, the guys, of course, you know, you guys were always majority, and probably still are, even though there are a lot more women in campus now. But you guys are special, really, I mean it, because you never made girls feel any worse or any inferior, and the same thing goes with professors. Never ever in a class did I ever have to face a question, you're a woman, why are you doing electrical engineering? I mean, there were people who would tell me, there were colleges where professors would tell girls to, you know, go home, you know, learn to sew because you're going to get married, and that's what would come handy. And I was aghast when some of my classmates from school would tell me that their professors tell them in the classroom, why are you studying math? You should go home and learn to sew. And I said, gosh, you know, I don't think any professor in my class has ever said that, and they dare not say that. And you know, that's a special place called Pilani. So I have been privileged really to be part probably of a country, and then a family, and then a big system of education, where even though I was always a minority, I never felt like one. So I came to Silicon Valley not knowing anything different. And when I jumped into entrepreneurship, that probably was something I considered a strength, not a weakness, that it's okay that you're different, and it's okay you're a minority. And I went to venture capitalists, a lot of people told me, and to give you an example, I was part of a, they call this Women's Springboard. So all the companies that pitch to VCs are, have some woman in the company as a founder or a VP or CEO. And to tell you the truth, I found it very strange that in this country, this is a very advanced country, we would need a forum like that, because women don't get enough, supposedly enough mileage in front of VC, so they had to create this event. And the lady, there were 2 mentors assigned to each woman entrepreneur to learn how to pitch to a VC. And there was this, I can never forget that experience. So one of the women assigned to me as my mentor, she was actually a VC with a VC firm, and very well-known firm too. And she told me, Puneeta, when you walk into that room in front of VCs, you're at a disadvantage. And I said, why? And I was truly, I was puzzled. I didn't know what she meant. She said, you know, you don't have to open your mouth. You don't have to say a word. You just walk in and you're at a disadvantage. I said, you know what, sorry to say that, I don't take that. Whatever makes you, and I know she wasn't being mean. She wasn't being rude. She was actually being nice when she said that, because she's part of that world where she had seen some of that. But you know what? When she said that to me, I really truly felt that I was blessed that I wasn't born here. And then I never had to face that system where people feel that they are at a disadvantage just because of who they are. It's not because of the idea, it's not because of the school they went to, it's just because of who they are. They walk into a room and they are looked at as a disadvantage. So what can I tell you guys and gals, that, you know, I never for one felt that it was a disadvantage, and it has never felt that way, although along my journey I have met some stereotypes, and I won't discount that those do exist. But I can tell you also, there are many more people who don't believe that those stereotypes matter. And there are many more people now that say it's okay to be different. Be who you are, but be very comfortable in your own skin. Don't try to imitate something that you're not. And as long as you're comfortable in being yourself, go ahead and pursue what you want to pursue. Whether it's your dream job, whether it's your dream idea that you want to convert into a company, or a non-profit venture you want to take up. There have been all kinds of things that I've seen people do, and they have never let their so-called minority status come in the way.